Did you know Billy the Bat Vitalo? He worked for Sonny Franzese. Billy was my dad.
Billy the Bat. I believe I did know that name, Billy the Bat. And from what I know, I mean, I don't know him personally, but from what I understood, he was a good man. Tough guy, good guy.
Very cool. Liam says, I've listened to your whole podcast about 3 times on Spotify, and I love it.
Thank you, bro. The history of the Mafia is going to come out. It's going to be just as good as my podcast. Believe me.
Sammy, is there a favorite story from your podcast that you recommend everybody watch?
You know, the Johnny Keys story was just a story that, till today, when I turn to talk about it, I get choked up. The guy blew me away. He died like a man's man. When I do the movie about him or I talk about him, I talk with total respect. So if his family or grandchildren or somebody hears me, your dad, your grandpa, whatever he was to you, was a man's man, a real good man. I was under orders. It broke my heart. It's not something I liked doing. If you hear my story, you can hear me talk about it till today. He changed my life. Your grandfather, whatever he is to you, he changed my life. I really did something I didn't want to do, but orders are orders. I got an order for it was a commission hit, as high as it gets, and my boss, Paul Castellano, gave me the order, and my boss, Tato, was with me, and they told me what to do, and I did it. But till today, I regret that he died. But he did die like a man's man, and I'm glad I'm alive to tell you his story. I'm not telling that for any other reason than I just loved the guy. I fell in love with him. He was the epitome of our life. If I had to die in any way, shape, or form, I don't know if I had the balls to die like he died, but he really was a man's man.
Frank would like to know, did the mob shake down powerful people to acquire the deeds to entire towns in Long Island and Queens?
The guys were shaking down places in Queens and Long Island all the time, forever, as long as I can remember. My mother and father had a place in Long Island, Lake Ronkonkoma. When I was a kid, I grew up there a little bit. It's not that I lived there, but they had a place in Brooklyn, New York, and we would go there on weekends. It was like a bungalow, place to get away. And then when they retired, they lived there. So I have good feelings for Long Island, especially that area. It was right near Smithtown and places like that. It was right on Terry Road. A lot of people there who hear it would know exactly where it was.
I'm from Springfield, Mass., and I used to go over to Al Bruno's house, who was the Bruno family under the Genovese. They used to tell some wild stories.
Yeah, well, Al Bruno was a man's man, and they were all good people out there in Mass, and I'm sure they must have told, old wise guys, they sit down, they talk with each other, tell stories, and, that's how I know so many stories, and I could talk about the history of the Mafia. Tato used to do that with me, and, he was 30-something years older than me, so if he was alive now, he'd be about 110. So when he was telling me stories when I was younger, growing into the life, I would really pay attention, listen to him, and he went back 30 years before, I was even born. So I used to love those stories. I was attached. My friends would tell me, come on, we're going to go out tonight. We got a couple of broads. I would say, no, I got to meet Tato tonight again. We're going to sit in his backyard. You're going to listen to stories. I love the stories, bro. And he would talk to me about people like Lucky Luciano, Al Capone, all kinds of people, Genovese, everybody. Those are the people he grew up with, his friends.
Sammy, was it necessary to hit Tommy Bilotti along with Paul? Thank you.
Yes. I mean, first of all, Tommy really wasn't liked. He was a little bit of a bully. I hate to say that, but it's true. He wasn't well liked, number one. Number two, he was a tough guy. They're going to take him out. so that there's no repercussions, and for multiple different reasons. His brother Joey Bellotti, also a tough guy, good guy. I wound up saving him. Me and Frankie DeChico spoke for him. They were going to kill him. Joe Watts wanted to kill him, and we said no.
What is the closest movie or TV show that best resembles your experience in the life?
I think Goodfellas was a little bit like my life, rough and tumble and all kinds of shit going on. And I think that one, I think the Godfather 1 and 2 were the best because they depicted family members, how we live as Italians and the Mafia all rolled into one. But Goodfellas was more like rough and tumble like my life was.
I'm going to jump into the super chat. JB Weld says, Sammy, was there any rivalries between those with Sicilian roots versus those with Neapolitan roots in the family? My grandpa was Sicilian and always said Northern Italians look down on Sicilians and Southern Italians.
There was little beefs like that, not much. I mean, I'm Sicilian. They look down on Sicilians. Listen, let's face it. Sicilians were very poor farmers. They were very poor. But that's where the Mafia started, in Sicily. The Napolitans, like from Rome and places like that, they grew up with a lot more money, a lot more in the cities. But Sicilians were like peasants. Even when we ate our food, my mother would say, we eat peasant food. Peasant food was not, anything bad. It was pasta with vegetables or beans or stuff like that because they were broke. They couldn't afford steak and stuff like that. Once in a while, they did good in business, and we had steaks. I remember the whole family, a couple of different parts of the family would buy a cow together and have it butchered by a butcher they knew. They would cut all the meat up nice, put it together, and split it up because they didn't have enough money to go to a grocery store and places like that to buy it. And they also did that with the sauce. The old Italian woman would make bottles and bottles and bottles of sauce and split it up to all the family, uncles, aunts, people who were broke. So that's why they look down on the Sicilians a little bit. And then they would say, there's an old story about that Sicilians got a little bit of black blood in us. We were invaded in Sicily by the Moors or something like that. An African something, they were black, they came in, and obviously they went with women, raped them, whatever. And the Sicilians had black blood. But I think most of that is bullshit. So Italians are Italians, whether they're Napolitan. See, like Calabrese, they were hard-headed. They were noted to be hard-headed guys, and women too, the Calabrese. But that's just dialects in different places of the country, thought a little bit different. Their environment was different. So, but they were all Italian. They all believed the same way. They liked the same wine. They loved the same meals. They loved the same kind of women. So I don't think there was really that much different other than old folk stories. Like I heard them, but they were like, I didn't know them. In my family, a Napolitan or a Sicilian or Calabrese, they were all Italians. Nobody cared.
I have Lab Gal JJ in the super chat. Billy, my dad, was a good man. Took his lumps and loyal to a fault. I lost him in 2019. I come and listen to you to feel close to him, so thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm doing that. I'm glad. I got a couple of messages and stuff like that. It's crazy. I went into a place just the other day into Fry's grocery store, and a guy stopped me. He says, "You're Sammy?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." And he shook my hand and said, "You have no idea. You changed my life." He was a Hispanic guy. I think he was Mexican. And he says, "I was on the wrong path. I heard a few of your shows. you saved my life. I wanted to do a selfie with me. I did a selfie with him. And that was about it. But I'm glad that some good things are coming out of this.
El Gato back in the super chat. Any dealings with the Colombians in the 80s? Grazie.
Yes, there was dealings with the Colombians a lot of times. Matter of fact, Roy DeMayo's guy, a Jewish kid, they called him Roy DeMayo's unadopted son. Tough kid, Jewish kid. And he was doing a deal with the Colombians, and he shot and killed a few of them and took the drugs. There was a whole beef about it. And Nino Gaggi got back to Roy and said what he did was wrong. These guys are hot. You know, what do you want to do, start a war? You got to give them hunk. You got to give them something. Whatever he's robbed, give it back, number one. Number two, I forgot the Jewish kid's name. Get rid of him. And it literally broke Roy's heart. He didn't want to get rid of that kid. But he did. And it was because of dealing with the Colombians. So there was a lot of different dealings with Colombians and guys like that. Most of them, 99% of them were good deals, good situations. Unless you got a screwball like that kid who went to rob them and shot a few of them, which wasn't good. And they died, besides. I mean, so, yeah, I do remember some things with the Colombians, yes. I actually knew a few Colombian guys.
Hey, Sammy, how often would someone chicken out of a hit or give someone a heads up beforehand?
You can't chicken out of a hit. If you get a hit, if you don't do it, you refuse to do it, for whatever reason, they'll kill you. I knew a guy in the Colombo family who did work on a number of occasions, and then they gave him a piece of work. Greg Scarpa, Sr. And he turned around and he said, I can't do it anymore. I'm a born-again Christian. And they killed him for refusing. You can't refuse.
Sammy, what are your thoughts on Al Capone?
I think he was a tough bastard, a little crazy. He was a New York guy. He got thrown out of New York. That's how he wound up in Chicago. He was a bouncer. That's how he got that big scar on his face. Always in trouble, always in fights. And when he went to Chicago, they loved him because he started fighting the Irish mob. That was the power in Chicago. And the Sicilians backed Al Capone, and that's where he started getting a lot of power. And they made movies, you see all the movies about him, and basically they're true.
I have a question from Ryan Brown in the super chat. Do you have thoughts on John Papa being denied compassionate release?
No. I believe he's Jerry Papa's son, John Papa. He did a lot of work in a quick amount of time. I remember that I said something in a book about Jerry Papa, and he had put me on a list in his pocket. Also, a cop named Tommy Day, pretty good guy, even though he was a cop. Tommy Day was on the list. When they arrested him, Tommy Day called me up and said, Sammy, we arrested Jerry Papa's son, John Papa. He said, you know, me and you were on his list to kill, guys to kill. He had killed 4 or 5 or 6 guys or whatever he did. He was gun crazy like his dad. In jail, I understand he had a tough reputation as well. He worked out a lot, took some steroids. He was tough in jail, from what I hear. I really don't know him. I actually didn't talk bad about his dad, but whatever he thought it bothered him, and I guess I was on a list with this Tommy Day, and he was going to kill the 2 of us. But I just found out one of them cops got in touch with me and said, Sammy, he just got denied. And I said, yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with the kid. You know, I never did. I never even knew the kid. But something I said in a book, my book, or something about his dad, that bothered him. And I guess he was a little trigger happy. He wanted to shoot people all over the place. And I guess I was one of them.
Okay. Let's see. JB Weld in the super chat again. Is an associate someone not made but is in a crew, or is it anyone the crew does business with?
No, usually it could be a combination of both. It's usually a guy who's in a crew, he's not made, maybe he can't get made, his father's not Italian, and he's in a crew. Look, just like Joe Watts could never get made, but he had respect, he was doing work, he did a lot of things. And then there are guys who are just with you, they don't do work, they don't do anything. But they're your friend or they're with you. If they have a problem, you could represent them as an associate of yours. And we call that in the life, you got to respect the dog for its master. Now, he might not be a made guy. He may never become a made guy, but he's my fucking dog. I don't want you fucking with him. So he's my associate, my friend. So if you have anything on your mind with him, you should come to me.
I have a very generous envelope from Pug Chesh for you in the super chat.
Thank you so much, bro.
You know what? I'm going to ask another question. Who wants another question? Okay, everybody, get your fingers ready. Let's see who can type the fastest. Who was the federal prosecutor in Sammy's case when he cooperated? Who was the federal prosecutor for that case? And go.
Who?
You want just waiting for them to type something. Do we want to do a little countdown? Jeopardy music? Well, I've got my two over here. How about you, Sterling?
I need one. Someone said Tony Soprano. Yep, I got him.
Okay. Our winners for that question, Janet and PA. No surprise there. And let's see, who was the second one? Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, TRC. Janet, you already got my email. Send me an email. Winnipeg, support@sammythebull.com. Send me an email. Who did we get on Instagram and TikTok?
On TikTok, we have Queen Boss Kelly, and we have TyMac94. On Instagram, we have Adam Wayne and John McNamara. Yep.
Screenshot those.
Got him.
Tell him, Sammy.
John Gleason.
Thank you. All right, Janet. Janet is so sweet. She told me to go to the third person that got it right because she already got a magazine, which is true. Yay. You guys should thank Janet right now.
Yes. And Megan, did you thank Janet for...
I did thank Janet personally in her email, actually.
Oh, all right. Thank you, Janet. We went for that,
The healing.
the healing.
Scalar.
And I broke my toe in the chair getting it. No, I didn't.
Okay, so the third person on YouTube that got it right was Southern Freight Express. Southern Freight Express, if you and Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, the both of you guys, go ahead and send an email to support@sammythebull.com, and I will get those signed magazines out to you guys. Okay, Pug Chesh wants to know, were you with the Irish back in the day?
I mean, I had Irish friends. I had Irish guys around me. There was Irish guys in the mob. There was Irish guys who had their own crew. The Westies was an Irish mob. And I did have some Irish friends. Here's the difference with Irish guys. You know, you were good friends with them. You go to the bar, you hang out, you're hugging, you're talking, you're bullshitting, you're laughing. 5, 6 drinks, they're drunk. And before you know it, they call you a fucking greaseball or something, and you're in a fight with them. So the Irish guys were great up until they had over 5 drinks. And then they became crazy. But they were good people. I had an uncle, my ex-wife's uncle, Danny, was an Irish guy. I mean, he's a guy who's helped me so much in my life, in my early years. He really helped me a lot. I never forget him. So I'm, you know, if a guy's a good guy, I don't give a shit what he is. Irish, German, I don't care what they are. You know, like before I was saying that Italians, Sicilians have some black blood in us. You know, a lot of people are bothered with that. I'm not. Matter of fact, if you saw me dance before, I got a little rhythm in me, so I think that's what it is. And I'll tell you the truth, every time I take a piss and I look down, I think there's some truth to it. I mean, about having a little black blood in me. So I don't really care about any of that. You know, I'm not prejudiced. My father grew me up and said, you know, people are prejudiced. They live in the past. Don't live in the past because you'll get stuck there. Live in the future. Look forward. Everybody's a man or a woman, and respect what they are, you know, as you come across them, no matter what. And I think my father taught me that very well because I lived that way. I have different people in my life. Some people, one of my grandsons is Hispanic, and you know, I have different nationalities. I even have black people in my family. So I'm not into any of that bullshit.
All right. Sammy, what was the hardest fight you ever had? Was it with guns or a street fight?
I'll never forget. I fought a guy named Vinnie Mook, Louis Bop's brother. He was a professional fighter at the time. We went to their schoolyard on Bath Avenue. One of our guys was going to fight one of their guys. He told us, wait back. I didn't want to wait back. I wanted to go in the schoolyard representing our guy. He turned around and hit me a shot in the eye. I still have a scar on top of my eye. I fought this guy for 15 or 20 minutes straight. There was guys in the neighborhood who watched the fight. Nobody broke it up. And everybody said they've never seen a fight like this. I went to the hospital. I was hurt. But so did he. When I went to the hospital, I bumped into him. He was in the hospital as well. And I went over to him. I said, Vinny, I put you in the hospital. He said, you're here too. We both started laughing. We shook hands and we became good friends. I was very close with his brother, Louis Bop and Outta Bop. But I wound up with a fight with him. And nobody would give up, neither one of us. And we just fought until we were just covered with blood, bleeding all over the place, our hands, our face, everything. And I think that's the toughest fight I ever had.
Wow.
I didn't lose, I didn't win. It was, and we both went to the hospital, so.
Sammy, what are your thoughts on Griselda Blanco? She was the Colombian drug lord for cocaine.
Right, I heard the name. I have no knowledge of her, really, at all, of what she did. I know she ran a cartel for a while. I saw some of the things, the reports. I mean, I think they even made a movie or something about her. But I didn't know of her at all.
Anthony would like to know, can you speak a little bit about Bobby Borriello?
Bobby Borriello, again, another tough guy. The Lucchese people shot him in front of his house on gas pipes orders when me and John were in prison. He was a bodyguard for John. He was with our family. He was originally with the Gallows. In the Colombo War, the Gallows fought the Facci and them. He was with the Gallows. But after the war was over, he got transferred over to the Gambino family, so to end the war. and they took Kid Blast, one of the Gallows, transferred him over to the Genovese family, and and made him. He became a made guy, this guy Blast. And so the war was over. Everything stopped.
Do you think the modern day gangs have the guts to do what the Mafia did?
Today, no. I really don't. There's still mobs around, and it's more like a men's club or something. They don't kill no more, I don't think. Very, very, very rare. I didn't even hear about it. Look at this Joey Molino. Says he's a boss. He's on YouTube talking shit all over the place. Years ago, if you were a boss or you were active in any way, you would get killed for that. So it just goes to show you, there's no more structure. The thing is over. Anybody could talk. Anybody could do whatever they want, it looks like. I know still some old timers who think the right way. They don't talk. They don't do nothing. So,
Sammy, Pablo Escobar or El Chapo? Which one you guaranteed to be the most successful with?
I mean, they were both tough guys. Pablo Escobar was Colombian, and he fought the government. He tried to fight to take over the government. I mean, it's insanity. You're not going to beat the government. You're not going to take over a country. Not that way, anyway. The other one, he's in the ADX Supermax, and I don't think he's going to get out. His whole family just cooperated. His son, everybody, against one of the other cartels, was in a newspaper. I think they took the whole family, bringing them in the program. And that's a big win for the government against the cartels. And they're going to need the witness protection. Cartels are super dangerous. They do, and then see, that's different than the Mafia. When you cooperate in the Mafia, we never hurt your wife, your kids. They didn't do anything. You did. We'll look to kill you, period. The cartels, they come in, they kill wives, kids, everybody. They'll never survive doing that. People hate them for shit like that. If we kill each other, that's one thing. It's killing innocent people. That's I think the most disgusting thing you can do.
Okay,
Or
quick
one
question.
of it, anyway.
Jordan Wilson says, actually, his father was asking, Sammy, who is your favorite wise guy? And, actually, two of them. Favorite wise guy and favorite quote. So who's your favorite wise guy?
I have so many favorite wise guys. Sammy, the old man, Peruta, Frankie the Chico, and on and on and on. In my crew, everybody was in my crew. I don't want to leave out names, but there's too many of them. And then my favorite quote is, "He who farts in church sits on own pew." How about that?
Great. Thanks, Sammy. Well, there you go, Jordan. And I think we are wrapping up. If there are any super chats that I did not get to, please send an email to support@sammythebull.com, and I will get it at the top of the hour next week. We've done our questions for the week. We did our magazine poll for the week.
I did my dance for the week.
You did your dance for the week.
And,
anything else?
So, guys, it's time to wrap it up. So I'm going to give you my normal stuff. Adios, motherfucker.